And Quacks, I thought Eternal Season would have gotten out of the group already, but now they find themselves in the final match.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an upset, to be honest with you. I think also for the side of Mint, who they played yesterday, right? I think Mint is also kind of put in that middle of the pack team, and they managed to pull out a win against SYN yesterday. I think we saw a lot of those middle of the pack to lower end teams rise up at the last week here for ACL. And now it is going to be a case of they have to fight for their lives against Zero Animosity, who, Yanni, they're no slouches themselves.
They're absolutely not. They are certainly a team that can go out there and win games. But when you take a look at, the rest of the league and kind of the ratings history, Zero Animosity is rated the lowest team that I think is still left that has not been eliminated yet. They're 1-4.
You're right.
And, it's tough going up against a team like Eternal Season, who, coming in had a decent bit of fanfare just outside the top 10, but a lot of recognizable names on this roster that, again, we really think should have gotten out in the last round, but got upset pretty hard. And when I talked to Season of Leaves, he talked about how the jungle swap, Munchie not being around, made things a lot harder, as he's the big voice of the team.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that we've covered SYN Eternal Season here on the Salt Mine B stream. We actually had them, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And I think one thing that Munchie really brought to the table was kind of being that X factor, right? He was able to pull out things like the Zed. He was kind of able to, throw caution to the wind, knowing his team had his back, and was able to make those pop-off plays on some of those more unorthodox picks. And I think that Season of Leaves was a really good backbone for him to operate off of. I think their mid-jungle synergy was a key part of their win in that week and has been a key part of their success thus far. Maddie is definitely not like Munchie, though. I always felt like Maddie was kind of the backboard, the backbone for that St. Clair College team, and more often than not had kind of an inverse relationship with his own mid laner, Flocon, who is definitely the X factor of that team. So you have two stable rocks in mid and jungle here now that Maddie has been subbed in. And I'm really interested to see, I'm really engrossed to know how that dynamic is going to differ from the usual style we've seen from Eternal Season.
Couldn't agree more, Quacks. It does mean there's going to be potentially a bit of instability here, and you never want that going into what could be your last series, right? And a team like this it'd be an absolute upset, even with the sub, right? Because Maddie, again, no slouch. This guy is quite a good jungler, has made a big impact on the collegiate scene, has been playing competitive since 2019. I mean, it's so strange to say it, but this dude's a veteran.
I mean, Maddie as well, I think, has also really been, like you said, he's been the veteran of St. Clair, but I also feel like he has been a major point where the team is able to rally behind him. He oftentimes is the guy that will play those initiators, will play those engagers, and will allow for his team to kind of get behind him as he charges into the fight on things like the Maokai, things like the Sejuani. I even remember way back when Olaf Jungle was a lot more popular than it is today. Maddie would play things like the Olaf way back in 2019 and 2020. I'm not really sure how that's going to function this time around, especially in conjunction with Season of Leaves' style. We know SOL really likes his long range mages. We know him for things like the Hui. We know him for things like the Xerath, these things that stay very far away from danger and don't like to, interact with the enemy team whatsoever. So I feel like the champion pools also will create a weird dynamic on top of those styles that we already mentioned, Yanni.
Yeah, he's definitely not a mid laner that quote unquote gets his hands dirty. Prefers to really get things done
Certainly
from afar. His Lux obviously is something that would be remiss if we didn't mention. He is quite literally right. At one point, I don't know if he still is right now. I think he still is probably the best Lux on the NA server. Quite an excellent player up there with some of the other greats. There's like a trifecta of three of them up there.
Yeah, there's like Yozu, I think, and Kupik.
Yeah, doesn't matter because it got banned away. I was like, we'll see if it's available. Not going to be available. Lots of mid lane bans coming out here, and I think that's Eternal Season strategy here, just to make Samuel off balance a little bit. Now, do keep in mind they only get 2 bans because Maddie had to sub in as an sub, so not going to be able to take one more mid laner off the board. And Wukong will get locked in first.
Yeah, Wukong, definitely a good piece that can work with your team. Obviously, that Cyclone provides a lot of engage, but I do also kind of get a little bit wary whenever I see Wukong in that blind pick. I also think that there are a lot of counters that can deal with this guy, can shove him off the backline, or can just straight up duel him. I think Wukong is deceptively weak pre-6. I think once he gets that Cyclone, he can kind of flip a switch in terms of strength and kind of gets that break point where he can start really looking like a threat in fights. But before then, I think it's really difficult for him to operate in some of those 2v2s, even 3v3s. And so I like Zero Animosity immediately recognizing that, going for a very early front-loaded damage mid-jungle comp here with the Trundle and the Aurora.
Yeah, there's so much power coming out of those two picks. Now, the problem with Zero Animosity is they do need to wrap a bow on it, right? They're going to need to put some CC together, or at least pick something that is going to go against what Eternal Season are looking to do, because clearly they're looking to go full engage here. You don't go engage if you're, or you don't not go engage if you pick a Wukong, right? You are looking to go in and make your mark. So I'm curious to see what they're going to pair alongside it on your mid jungle duo here. There are a lot of decent options, but as we talked about, Season of Leaves, his pool is a little bit different,
Whoa.
and he's going to do his best Samakin cosplay. He's pulling out the Zoe.
Yup. I mean, who's the other really popular sort of older
Detention.
veteran? Yeah, Detention. We've got that as well. I feel like there's one more that we're missing. It's not Doxa. Anyway, we do have the Wukong plus the Zoe. This is a comp that obviously, Yanni, I think I speak for both of us when I say we're not necessarily familiar with this 2v2.
Hell
Zoe,
no, bro.
definitely not a popular pick, but certainly one that can operate on a pick comp basis. And so I'm wondering if SYN are going to be playing things that operate into that, for things like the ADC. I was thinking like the Ashe, but they're going to instead go for that Yunara. This is a champion that has garnered a lot of debate, obviously being the newest one added to the roster, Yanni. But the main consensus is it's a late game powerhouse. And so far, it feels like SYN Eternal Season have the complete opposite idea of how they want to play the game compared to Zero Animosity. Zero Animosity, they want to come out of the gate swinging. Eternal Season, they want to take a couple of bunts, a couple of balls, maybe swing a couple of times to get 2 strikes before they finally hit that home run.
Yeah, and I think the best part about Yunara is that she can be paired with any either Enchanter or Engage support. So there are a lot of options still left open for Eternal Season. We are going to see this Aphelios come into play. So we've got some late game here. These comps seem to mirror each other a little bit here, Quacks. And the big thing is, what are we going to see banned in the second half? Because top lane, still not available, support still not available, and still a large lack of crowd control on both sides.
Large lack of CC, but particularly for Zero Animosity, they themselves don't really have a go button. This is a comp that wants to engage, but doesn't have, I think, that snap ability to just, rally behind a certain piece. And so I'm garnering and leaning more toward them, picking one of those engage supports, which is not necessarily something that Aphelios wants. I think Aphelios operates way better when he has things like the Lulu, which did just get banned, right behind him and sort of just allowing him to free hit. But I feel like at this point, unless you have something like I don't know, unless like SYN Eternal Season, or maybe this is like an Aurora top and you go like Galio mid or something like that, that could be a decent engage. But I feel like you're really going to have to flip it on its head to make an Enchanter support work here for Zero Animosity. So we're probably going to be seeing something like the Rel. We might see something like the Nautilus. There has to be some form of engage for Zero Animosity on this support. It really is up to Z-Score to, I think, initiate these fights once we go to the mid game.
Yeah, I'm still really struggling to see what they're going to pick. Now, I am interested in that Rumble ban because then that means that you're pretty much locking Aurora into the mid lane here. Yeah. Aurora is a really good counter into the Rumble, so I am a little surprised they didn't leave the door open for that and say, hey, you know what? We're not afraid to send it top, but that might not be in the bag of Albino Spino. As our last ban here is a Gragas. I really like this ban because Eternal Season, again, we want to see them clump up and use some of their team fight power. Leona's going to get the lock-in for Aphelios, so that solves the CC problem.
It solves the CC problem. It solves the engage problem. I also think that Leona is a really good solution to not necessarily fully committing to engage. I think that Solar Flare has multiple different applications where you can find someone, you can look for an engage, and then if someone is like around the corner, you don't necessarily go for that Zenith Blade. You can back on out, and there really is no harm, no foul. As SYN Eternal Season are going to go for a similar route in Recon where he can look for that engage. He can also look for that disengage. I really like the the job assignments that are being given to these supports here in game number 1, Yanni. And now the big kind of $1,000,000 question is, what do you put in the top lane? I feel like you have to be anticipating a possible tank here from Zero
Yeah.
Animosity. Like, I think SYN would be a really good answer. So you need something that deals with those tanks or at least disengages them. And I think Cassante is a decent response, but again, can sometimes be a bit of a dangerous blind if you're not careful and comfortable.
Yeah, I think Asante's pretty good here, considering that Gwen is off the board. I don't think there's too many concerns of what could be picked on the other side. That's like, oh no, it's absolutely ruined. And Cassante with the all out later on, able to get some of these priority targets off the table. If this Aphelios is starting to get strong, if this Aurora is starting to get strong, and instead we're gonna go with the Garen. Okay, so Albino Spino is going to pick a less team-oriented champion and a more smash lane champion and be a side lane menace. Quacks, I have to say, I do not think this works well with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think that this Garen kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. I also think that, another point to bring up about why this pick might not be the best thing that they could have pulled out here for R5. I mean, Garen got reworked to be more of a tank, right? Like, this is a champion that I think last year, if you asked anybody in the comp scene about, can you draft this champion? A lot of them would say, yes, it's possible to dominate lane, to be a threat on the sides. He one-shots your backline. He doesn't have that same damage profile that he did before the rework. He operates much more on a front line, be in front of your team basis. And so I feel like that style isn't really going to benefit Zero Animosity. And also the reasons why you used to pick Garen, the reasons why they might be good here, no longer apply since that rework. So I fail to really see how this is going to go. I think at the very least, it's probably just going to be a stalemate on the top side. And that's never good for Garen, who wants to start snowballing as soon as possible. Play for that lane, like you said, Yanni.
Well, Quacks, I heard that we are ready to go. I heard it's game time. So we're getting into game. Summoner's Rift, game 1 of this best of 3 series. Winner moves on, loser goes home. Gauntlet was thrown down early. Taking a look at some summoner spells here. We have an Ignite on the Garen. We have dueling cleanses here for the AD carries. Summoner spellbook for Alcalamity.
I like to see that Summoner Spellbook from Calamity in particular. I think that once Maddie unlocks that Cyclone, this Recon really is just going to be saying, all right, Daption, I'm going to wait until you're 3 items, and then I'll play around you. But for now, it's time to monkey around a little bit on these grubs, on these objectives. And so I think the big thing for SYN Eternal Season is going to be waiting for Maddie to actually hit that breakpoint. I think that they're not really capable of being super proactive, super in the face of Aeon Crystal and the rest of Zero Animosity until that primary engage is available for them. So just kind of reeling in that aggression until that time comes.
I do want to see Maddie get in there, I want to see Aeon Crystal get in there and disrupt Maddie, because we know how strong Trundle is in the early game. And given the fact that Samuel should have push in this mid lane against the Zoe, does mean that you will at least have some areas, these chickens, these wolves to really go after. I'm interested to see if we're going to just do standard full clears and then go after the second set of chickens, but I don't want to see a standard full clear.
No, I would like to see, I agree with you. I'd like to see Aeon Crystal take a little bit of initiative, and I think that he certainly has the possibility to do that at both junglers starting on this top side. So, obviously Trundle is going to be having the red buff. Wukong won't. He will be having the blue buff instead. So that combat advantage will be present for the Trundle. If he just wants to maybe cut after this top side clear and look to disrupt this Wukong, even in the slightest, most granular way, it would help to delay that level 6 breakpoint for Maddie as top lane.
Knockup is there, but Albino Spino's got the Ignite and he drops it down. Top lane 101 with that knockup, putting the Garen closer. And the flash too. Absolute disaster up top.
Yeah, it's a fiasco, not in favor of SYN. I feel like at that point, top lane should just save his flash for a rainy day. He shouldn't be using it. Has to understand that his chances of survival, even if that flash doesn't, even if that flash goes through and he doesn't immediately die, I mean, Albino Spino is just going to flash immediately after him. And the wave's already in a good spot. You can TP and try to circumvent that summoner difference a little bit, but instead he loses his big defensive summoner spell, and that is really bad when you're staring down the face of a Trundle who will definitely capitalize off of that once he's done with this full clear on bot side. As he did decide to go for that full clear, didn't think about maybe disrupting Maddie, probably because the prio really doesn't favor Zero Animosity on this bot side, Yanni.
And now you have to be really worried if you're Maddie that, like, oh no, is top lane going to get out of control? Is this Garen going to be a huge issue later on that Daption's not going to be able to handle? Remember, because he went cleanse, he doesn't have the Ghost, which is a popular choice against champions like Garen. We see Aeon Crystal hovering around the mid lane here, wants to just cause a problem over with Season leaves. Season will drop the exhaust down, won't hit the sleep on anybody as he's just going to get run down and forced off here. But this does mean that blue side will be able to secure that bottom crab without too much of a problem.
Still though, good discipline coming out there from Aeon Crystal, not to chase the kill and look for more onto Season of Leaves, understanding that Maddie is in the area.
Oh, here we go.
Bot side don't understand.
Yeah, we forced him to engage. Yeah, Maddie gonna get right on top of Z-Score. Z-Score is able to walk out without any Summoner's Burn.
So nothing too consequential for the side of Zero Animosity's bot side, as they're already getting shoved in, so I think their ability to just play under the tower, especially still having that heal, really prevents Daption and Calamity from pressing the issue of chunking out those health bars. So it should be good. If anything, I actually think it's a big advantage for Aeon Crystal, as now Maddie's reset gets slightly delayed.
Calamity's in trouble. He has to hop away. But he will be forced to heal as well as Z-Score. Now Daption and Calamity kind of forced to stay a little bit here. They really didn't want to.
They certainly didn't, and no help is, even close. Maddie went for the reset. He's on his top side. If anything, Aeon Crystal is going to be the jungler that makes it down toward that part of the map first, because he has a slight tempo advantage over the Wukong. So big ups for Zero Animosity, despite that early tagline by Maddie, despite putting gas on Infernadan and Z-Score. They are actually the ones that are coming out on top in this lane so far, Yanni.
Saw a big chunk in the mid lane. You see you've got priority on the bot side of your Zero Animosity. With both junglers heading bot, I do wonder if there is a dragon angle to be had. The health bars are in favor of Eternal Season's bot lane. It looks like Z-Score is ready to take his back, so might not see anything happen there. Still no invades, no move onto Chickens 2 or Gromp 2 or anything like that.
I feel like the slower pace of game, even though Zero Animosity got that kill up on the top side, again, I think SYN have a really good level 6 comp. Once they get those ultimates, they should be able to turn a lot of these fights in their favor. And so Zero Animosity not being as aggressive as I want them to be might come back to bite them. Has a lot of pernicious effects later down the line. So we'll have to see, as both junglers have made it into the area.
Daption will cleanse. Z-Score forced the flash out of there as the gank is foiled by both junglers showing up. Now it's a question of who's going to get the priority here. Do we really want the dragon if you're Zero Animosity? And if you don't, I mean, you kind of have to. Otherwise, you should have played on Cassante.
No, you absolutely go for this dragon. I mean, Felios has red-white, right? So you have a major combat advantage by the bot lane of Infernadan. So it's also just hard for SYN to loop around this pit. It's just kind of a terrain diff. So they'll be able to easily pick up that dragon, and good timing too, as they won't be losing any tempo, any advantages in vision around that Herald.
Oh, Drowsy. Season's got that kill. Season picks up the kill, but he flashed forward. He's in a bad spot, trying to get shielded away, but blasted by E. Samuel. The 1-for-1. Maddie's not able to secure the dragon. So, but in the end, a solid fight for Zero Animosity.
And it goes over to E. Samuel. So the Aurora likely going to be able to, especially with no TP from Season of Leaves, should be able to just shove in that wave, reset, and be present for the grubs coming up in about 20 to, or about 40 seconds here. You can see Z-Score is actually roaming to the bot side, so maybe Zero Animosity are thinking better of actually fighting this and are saying, you know what, now that Maddie has level 6, now that those ultimates are available, we hang back and we wait for our opportunity.
And I'm really surprised by that, Quacks, because you have more health over on the side of Zero Animosity. You've got the Haunting guys, you've got the Phage. Albino Spino has been doing a pretty good job, although he you know, is missing a lot of health. And the grubs would be so good for him, especially because he does not have teleport. So when he stays in a lane, he's going to be staying in a lane. He's not going to be teleporting to these fights. I must say, I think this is a bit of a miss.
I think it's a bit of a miss, not only because of the Garen, right, and just being able to operate in a more influential way on that late game, the split pushing, like you said, Yanni, but also, I mean, Trundle is one of the best tower takers in the game. This guy can knock those plates down if he gets the opportunity. As Season of Leaves might find an opportunity onto him.
Oh, he had to go back, and he goes down. Samuel gets his second kill of the game. These grubs are still being done. They're still healthy. See if Aeon Crystal wants to go find a way, and the second grub goes away. And it looks like Eternal Season will back off, and they'll take their prize of 2.
So they are going to get the credit for the grubs. Still, though, I like that Zero Animosity recognized their numbers advantage, recognized that they had Cryo in that mid lane because Season of Leaves went down. They just pinch it. They get 1. It's not the credit for the feats, but still should give Albino Spino and Aeon Crystal that ability to be a little bit more lethal on the side lanes, draw a little bit more attention from SYN Eternal Season as the game goes on.
And this is a big problem that's starting to develop for Eternal Season, is because they don't have a hard and fast way to get to Samuel, right? It's got to be Al Calamity getting there, or getting hit by a wayward Sleepy Trouble Bubble, or Maddie getting onto the back line, right? And the thing is, because Aurora is such a big flanker, that means that Aurora, if you're able to get in, you can get in undetected. There's going to be a big problem in this game with how strong he is right now.
Yeah, I mean, and realistically, SYN Eternal Season, they have engage, but it is very, I would say, short range. You can definitely react to it. As now Maddie, maybe
not. Maybe you can't react to it. As Transcend oneself gets used, Dabshin's going to be able to find the first kill. They are going to chase down Z-Score, but he will be able to walk under the turret. So a nice play there from the sub-jungler from Eternal Season.
It's a little bit of a caster curse, Yanni. Yeah, good execution there by Maddie, realizing that the top lane has an angle for him to actually infiltrate and look for that kill. And not only are they going to get that kill, probably is going to be a plate going over to Dapshin because of those grubs. So fattening up the Aurora, again, that champion, really just looking to get to 3 items. Not the biggest threat in the world at the current moment, but can certainly grow into something. And I think it's really up to Zero Animosity to look for some sort of way to foil that plan. It's going to be hard, though. Dapshin has both summoners, so very healthy at the current moment.
Next dragon up in about 1 minute and 20 seconds, and I think if I'm Zero Animosity, because of how strong Samuel is, I think they should be moving Inferno Dan down here. We do see some recalls getting taken. We do see Trundle opening on the top side, so we will see the swap. We will see Inferno Dan head back down in an effort to try and get this dragon secured. The problem is there is a big summoner difference after that Cyclone play up top.
I mean, also, SYN Eternal Season have just established presence on this bot side sooner, so it's going to be up to Zero Animosity to walk into them. That feels a little bit difficult when you have 3 flashes burned. You have to be very committal.
Oh, there's a teleport bot. They're going to try to make a 4-man play down here. Inferno Dan had already gotten knocked up. Does have Cleanse available. They're going to turn on Dabshin, who's got a flash and Cleanse, but Inferno Dan has run out of space. He drops his ultimate down, and Dabshin will die to the turret, but the credit will go to Leona.
Leona gets the kill. Not the most ideal target to get it, but still, I would say a successful play there by SYN. Sure, they lose their AD carry in the process, but they get a decent amount of gold. They force Zero Animosity as well to group up.
They might lose the
towards
dragon.
bot side. They might lose the dragon, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that immediately Zero Animosity is not on top of it, because Maddie's getting an opportunity to redeploy here. His Cyclone is up, and Aeon Crystal was just a little bit more preoccupied with farming. I'm a little surprised.
I'm also a slight bit surprised. I think probably the reason is because both Maddie and Dapshin lack that flash. So, I mean, once you're in, you're in.
But Maddie was halfway dead. Dapshin was dead.
Well, they're going to get the dragon anyway. Zero Animosity somehow managed to get the second of the game. They're only 1, I believe, objective now from claiming those feats. Is now Inferno Dan.
Ooh, nice move. Yeah, nice sidestep from Inferno Dan, but he's going to go down. And while the rest of his team is doing that dragon, you cannot be up that far.
Not been a good game for the Aphelios so far. 0-3, less than 13 minutes into the game. Maddie is punishing that.
Oh no, Samuel! He's gonna go between worlds, try to survive. Alcalamity's in his face, and Maddie's looking to chase him down. Alcalamity's got to flash away. Gonna turn on Aeon Crystal now. He's gonna get hit by the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. He's forced to flash too.
So some flashes burned. No kill really to be found. Still, though, going back to that point, this Aphelios really is, I think, the bridge champion for 0 Animosity. They've got, like we said, the Aurora and the Trundle. Obviously, Aurora has, you know, a little bit of carryover in terms of strength, being able to operate more audaciously toward that late game if the proper conditions are met. But still, I mean, you look at Aphelios and that's your big late game carry, right? And so far, it has not been set up, especially not like Daption on this Yunara, who has that Utal, is working toward that second item and is getting ever so close. The big question, though, is how close do they need to get Daption? How strong do they need to get this Yunara before they can start really fighting for these dragons? Because those are stacking up on 0 Animosity's side.
All right, we're going to see if they can get more power on this Yunara, but the stuns are there. Daption's not going to be able to close out on a kill, but they are certainly decimating the bot lane of 0 Animosity right now. This turret is getting lower and lower. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Ignite and the Judgment used, but top lane 101 will limp away. Hang on, they're going to flash engage on Daption. Inferno Dan going to drop his ult down. He needs so much healing. They turn it around. Calamity left him alone. But now Maddie is jumping in, trying to get more done. Season of Leaves showing up, but they can't actually convert.
And look, now Season of SYN, they have to panic. They're sending the TP for the top side. They're not going to try and use it for this dive.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Bubble lands. Not gonna
All right,
commit.
they got what they came for. That teleport out of the Samuel is out. Look at him stutter stepping here. Season of Leaves is going to use that stolen heal, and now another Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands, but he's going to get a good chunk out there, down to about half HP. This is good stuff.
It certainly is. Is now, look at Albino Spino. He doesn't have flash. I don't really think he has anywhere to go. This should be a kill for SYN.
Yeah, the question is, who's it going to go on? The all-out will put him into the turret, so Daption will be able to put an assist in his back pocket, and it's a big shutdown going over to top lane 101.
See, Maddie is moving up toward that part of the map as well. All of SYN are actually gravitating toward the top side. The biggest conceit of their gameplay so far, I think you would agree with me, Ani, is that they haven't been focusing those objectives. Herald is up. No. Aeon is on the bot side. They have a golden opportunity to look for it, and they're finally going to seize it in this game.
Cleanse forced out of Inferno Den. Doesn't look like 0 Animosity is interested in that Herald. They're a Drake team. Every Drake that they take buys them an extra couple of minutes. As good as Yunara is in the late game, Quacks, Aphelios is the OG late game carry, the 200 years. And it's just a matter of making sure that he gets there. So the Rift Herald, though, is going to be useful for Eternal Season, especially when it comes to trying to secure this next dragon.
No, I've always found it really funny that people bring up the 200 years meme in conjunction and relation with Aphelios. He wasn't the one that started it all.
There was another champion in this game that started it all.
Can you tell me who it is, Yanni?
It's Wukong, buddy.
Yup. Who was it again? It was Harambe, who was like, we need more damage on this champion.
I don't know the names of these Wukong mains, but come on. I've been around the block for a long time. You're the youngin' over here, bro. Of course I know.
I know as well. I also lived
Don't cite the deep magic to me. I was there when it was written.
W reference. Honestly, I need to watch Narnia again. They're going to make a new film about it, so
which I find is crazy. When that I was a kid when did that movie come out actually? I was a kid when the books came out.
That was like an early 2000s movie, if I'm not mistaken. But like, yeah, everyone's doing all these. You know what makes me feel really old?
2005. I was 10.
Yeah. I was 2. What makes me feel really old is that they're doing a Harry Potter remake. That makes me feel old because I remember going to the theater to see Deathly Hallows Part 2, where I may be the youngin' on the block, but they can still make me feel damn old. You know who else makes me feel really damn old, Yanni? Season of Leaves. Mr. 14-year-old over here on the Zoe, now getting closer and closer to 2 items. SYN are closing around this dragon, coming up in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, the only problem with Season of Leaves, and I try to never bring up his age, is that, well, he's getting bullied like the small child right now. He is down CS. He does have 2 assists and a kill, so he's got more kill participation than E. Samuel, but I think E. Samuel has played a pretty damn good game, has done a good job making Season not as effective this early on. Rift Herald is going to get used here. Season of Leaves is all the way in the wrong side of the tracks. BFE, as I like to call it. Albino Spino realizes he's kind of stuck, and he's got to try to spin to win his way out of there. Dragon getting pulled off here as the Rift Herald was answered in the mid lane, and now this means that Eternal Season do have purchase in this river, so they're looking for Z-Score. They want to go in, they're going to force the ultimate out of him, get the knockup. Dapchin transcending, look who's asleep, it's Aphelios, but good
Albino
damage,
on the back.
forces them all away. E. Samuel getting his ultimate down, meanwhile looking on the backside of Albino Spino, doing big things, spinning around just like Maddie, and he spins harder. Now Calamity is going to be the next one, and he's going to go down. Season Leaves managed to get one on the backside, but the numbers advantage is 4-0 Animosity, and the Dragon will be theirs.
And SYN, I really like the plan that they were initially going for. They were bullying Zero Animosity out of the river. They were leveraging that poke with Season of Leaves. The damage with Daption as well was coming through, but then they hard commit in a 4v5, not having eyes on Albino Spino. They push their luck a little too much, and Zero Animosity, they are the ones that win out in the kill exchange, and they're now on Soul Point, Yanni.
Did you see how close that Dragon was to going to Season?
You know, as the jungler in the room, it gave a little bit of a tingle up my spine. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and that wasn't ASMR. That's not the good tingle. That's the bad tingle.
It's the bad
We
tingle.
have 30 seconds until Otacon coming up right now, and a lot of shutdowns over on the side of Zero Animosity. Quacks, I know you casted LPL a couple weeks ago. I know that you've been watching a lot lately. You know, especially in that league, that Otacon is a huge throw magnet. And given the fact we're in Tier 3 North American League of Legends, that throw magnet is such a greater pull.
I think it's really difficult for SYN to actually play around this Otacon terrain as well. I mean, you know, circles are everything around Otacon. Being able to dish out those AoE stuns, that AoE damage, and Zero Animosity, they have more circles, for lack of a better term.
True,
Yanni.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so SYN, I mean, they've got, obviously, Maddie with the ultimate. They've got All Calamity, who's also rocking that smite, so who knows? Maybe that'll come back to, maybe that's like a Chekhov's gun in favor
smite.
of them. Chekhov's smite here for All Calamity. But, I mean, especially with how ahead E. Samuel is, and just the fact that Albino Spino has really been running around this map, it's difficult for them to actually fight this Otacon.
Oh, goodness. This is big damage. E. Samuel goes over to the other side. Great job there to buffer the bubble.
Yeah.
Albino Spino still getting taken to school by top lane 101, but it's just because top lane 101 is so tanky.
This could be something that SYN might be able to shove in Zero Animosity's face, might be able to leverage. I mean, top lane, like we said, he's the one with teleport, right? Whereas Albino,
he's immovable.
Yeah, he's immovable. So I feel like if they can get a numbers advantage through the teleport.
Oh, goodness, Inferno Dan.
Holy moly.
Just rips Daption apart. Good stun. It's going to go down onto Maddie. Al Calamity getting to the back line. Inferno Dan with the cleanse. He's still alive, but he gets all out and he goes down. Maddie tanking up the turret. The Cyclone's out and he knows he's going to go down, so he tries to do all he can. And meanwhile, the turret's still doing good damage. Top lane 101's got to dash out of there, but blinking health bars in the mid lane for Zero Animosity.
SYN, though, they're going to be able to force the issue. They're finally going to be able to knock down this mid lane and make it worth it for them, but it might come at a cost. You can see Albino Spino is going to trade in top lane. E. Samuel maybe had the opportunity to look for some pressure on that bot side turret, but top lane has teleport. They could maybe collapse on this Aurora, so he is going to think better of it, especially having that shutdown. You really don't want to be giving over this gold once the Otacon is up, because if they find a pick on you on the bot side, you know what it is. It's immediately onto that objective, Yanni. So I like the mid laner for Zero Animosity playing this map on a knife's edge, not playing too, it's, you know, you can never be too safe in this instance. I think both teams might be, you know, testing that theory, as neither have really postured to pressure this Otacon yet.
Yeah, and we're seeing that come through now. We're seeing a lot of wards get taken down, getting placed. You see a recall coming out from Z-Score, but it looks like he'll elect to stay around while Aeon Crystal is around to clear out that pink ward, and right now in the top lane, we're still having these guys go mano-a-mano. Big thing to note is in that salvage play mid lane, top lane 101 walked down, so his teleport is available, and Season of Leaves getting caught napping a little bit here. Exhaust goes on his Z-score, but he is stunned up, and he is going down. I don't care that you slept, E. Samuel. This means that Otacon can get started.
Otacon is on the map, and now Samuel.
Oh my god, E. Samuel! He is doing so much damage now. Dabshin has transcended, looking for more damage on Z-score, but he's not going to get it. Maddie's not really able to get in there either, so that's a big cooldown for Dabshin.
Dabshin using that ult, but I mean, it does its job, at least for the time being, in stalling out that Otacon take by ZA. Season of Leaves as well should come back up and has that teleport, so we'll be able to instantly join the fights. It's a used ult, but gets the job done. We can see more top lane action here. I think the onus really is just to keep putting pressure on Albino Spino and using that teleport. The time will come for SYN. It's got to come soon, as that dragon is less than 30 seconds away, Yanni, and this could be soul for ZA if they get this one.
And the big issue with ZA, even though they're in a pretty good spot right now, yeah, they're down a little bit of gold, but you know the objective game is one that they're winning, is that this Garen, we expected him to be a real split-pushing monster and causing havoc on the side lanes, but he hasn't been able to do anything. He can't move top lane 101, as he scored followed Al Calamity there on the way out, but he doesn't get punished for it. Sleepy Trouble Bubble's going to land. They're going to have to play Guardian here, but here's the big knockup. Great engage off that by Al Calamity and Maddie as Zero Animosity begin to crumble. Albino Spino is going to be able to pick up one on the side, but it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Eternal Season, and both objectives available on the map. Season of Leaves once more, but the Wolf Spawn is going to make life hard on them.
They're going right toward that dragon, right toward the Otacon. I don't think they have the timer to accomplish both, so for the time being, they are just going to deny the soul. I think that is certainly the wiser choice. They're actually gonna stay on the map. Inferno Dan, up in about 5 seconds. This could be risky if Albino Spino actually rotates toward the bot side.
Al Calamity's got TP though, it's fine. They do so much damage to this Otacon. It's down to about 6,000 HP. Listen, Aeon Crystal's got to get in there, but they're forcing him away. Smart play coming out from SYN Eternal Season. Zero Animosity, even with the reduction, do not want to take that fight. And Eternal Season starting to tilt the game in their favor.
And at the end of the day, it all starts with them being able to find Inferno Dan, right? The Aphelios has been running into the issue of not having flash, getting caught out, and then SYN get an opportunity, and so far, they haven't really been able to capitalize on those, Yanni, but this time, they sure as hell did. They got the dragon, they denied the soul, and they got the Otacon. They tilt the game in their favor, like you said, and more importantly, that Yunara is really close to 3 items. Meanwhile, Infernodan hasn't even gotten 2 yet.
Yeah, and this is huge. You know, we see so many times where a team will get 3 dragons and then get denied the next few. They're never able to get their soul condition, and while things are good for Aphelios, that play right there really should scare you. And Zero Animosity, you know, they might make that mistake again where if you get hit by a Sleepy Trouble Bubble and your priority target, they all stacked up, and Al Calamity was like, this is easy pickings. You can't fall into that again, Quacks, or else you are going to really lose the game. Now, one thing that's interesting here is E. Samuel, listen, there's only a Negatron cloak on top lane 101. He needs to be the guy matching top lane 101 now.
He absolutely does, especially because he also has teleport, right? This has been, I think this should have been Zero Animosity's game plan right from the start as Inferno Dan. Not again. They are just, I mean, they don't get the kill, but they burn the flash. And honestly, that's basically the same thing at this point because Aphelios is worth less than a cannon minion. He's 1 in 5, Yanni.
But they're not giving him vision. I mean, you see where Maddie came from. They're not protecting their Aphelios, the linchpin of this composition. Their late game god, right? They're not giving him proper vision to be able to farm up. He is down so much CS right now. Some of it's his fault, but they didn't do him any favors, and now Al Calamity is coming in, charming up 2 members. Inferno Dan, though, is alive for right now. Just trying to clear out some of these minions as the rest of Eternal
Oh,
Season.
look at Albino. Look at
Trying to chase
Albino.
forward. Yeah, look at it. All right, he slid right in. The slow down from Leona is going all the way in. Al Calamity with a double knock up there, but Inferno Dan's just trying to free hit. The Wukong clone going to absorb a lot of damage, but do a lot of healing. We saw for a second on the bottom side, Samuel not having the greatest time. We see Eternal Season. They want to push for more. Season of Leaves landing.
Ooh.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but did it get cleansed? Now it's Inferno Dan with both summoners down.
And we're right back to square one for Zero Animosity. I mean, you have a strong Aphelios who now has 2 items, but he doesn't have really any way to maneuver around this fight, and Maddie has had his number the entire game. Is now Albino Spino is here.
Oh, Season of Leaves. His flash is going to be forced out. Now, remember, you'll be able to pick up more summoners.
Yeah.
As the Zoe, but that is a big cooldown.
Certainly is. A lot of these immobile carries on both sides of this match are getting their summoners burned. And in about 90 seconds, we're going to have to see which team makes better use of the lack of flashes, as that will be the Dragon. Again, Zero Animosity really just want to try and get this last one. They get the soul, and they can really think about turning this game around. But at the current moment, the way this match is coasting Yanni, SYN, dare I say, if they get this one, they should have a very, very, very solid chance at being the victors here for game number 1, especially with that Baron up now. A lost team fight and losing the Dragon, if you lose too many members, it's not just the Dragon, it's the Baron as well. It's double objectives once again for SYN.
Yeah, and if I'm Zero Animosity, I'm not really interested in fighting these dragons. Because you got these dragons to allow yourself to have an extra 10 minutes of 15 minutes, because they were up 3-0, of grace for your Aphelios to get big. Yes, it's really good for Garen. Yes, it's really good for Trundle. It's a happy accident. We'll see. It looks like, did you want to fight Samuel? Big damage on the back line. Al Calamity got back there. Maddie with the double knockouts, but guess who's safe? It's the Aphelios, but he's in trouble. Top lane 101's on him. It is all outing. They got a kite, but he can't. Samuel goes down as top lane 101 is decimating the game, ripping Zero Animosity apart with tons of animosity. A triple kill for Cassante.
And top lane 101, he hacks, he chops, he cleaves all of ZA down. They lose 3. Dragon is up. Baron is on the opposite side of the mid lane. It is Aeon, one of the remaining members that is still alive, but he doesn't have flash. He has no way into the pit. So if SYN want to force the issue, they certainly have that ability, Yanni.
And now, Quacks, it feels like this game might be in a bad spot because, as you said, they lost the fight and the Dragon. If you just lose the Dragon, it's fine. Now, members down, a teleport used. Baron could be in the cards. Albino Spino, though, he's starting to hit hard. Top lane 101 forced away. He's got no flash, but
they got him.
Big knockup is there, and Albino Spino's got to try to spin away. But look at the movement speed. He's able to just barely slide away as his circle is just a little bit better than theirs.
Albino Spino hee-heeing away from SYN. Puts on the moonwalking shoes. So, like you said, they don't get the top laner for Zero Animosity. For the time being, that should be enough for them to not even consider going on to the Baron Nashor. Now, you kind of got to think about how ZA can possibly come back in this game. They came really close in that last team fight. I mean, Samuel had a massive between worlds, but it just did not matter because top lane did so much damage on the Cassante.
Yeah, they really didn't have a way to slow down this Cassante, right? You didn't get the Trundle pillar in front of him. You didn't get Z-Score trying to CC him up, and now the Baron getting done. Still has 10k HP. We do see Eternal Season pulling off a little bit here. Sleepy Trouble Bubble landing on the Trundle. This is a good target. Look at the chunk. It's not a ton, but it's enough. So Albino Spino goes in and goes out. But, oh, the slow is there. The knockup is there. They find the Zero Animosity jungler. No, he's still alive. He's healing. Dabshin and Al Calamity will finish him off. And Z-Score is going to be the next target. Knockup's there, too, as Al Calamity continues to cause calamity for Zero Animosity.
And Albino Spino, Samuel, they were nowhere to be found. They were trying to constrict SYN on the other side of the Baron, but they come up empty-handed. The Garen still going to try and be a nuisance, but realistically, no flash, no ignite. You have to go in to deal the damage. And SYN, they're not going to let you in. They have shut the damn door, Yanni.
Zero Animosity trying to break it down right now, but they're hesitant to even knock. Samuel's between worlds lands, and he goes to the other side, but he tries to hop back, and he's drowsy, he's sleeping. The Baron goes to Eternal Season, knock up from the side, and Zero Animosity has thrown it all away.
And it is Baron secured for SYN. All 5 members going to be rocking purple. The big question now kind of becomes, what will be the split here in terms of putting on the pressure for SYN? They don't have teleports, so it might be a little bit difficult to juggle the aggro from ZA, but still, I think the big thing they have to be using is Season of Leaves now, level 16. So that ultimate, those portals are going to be coming up very often. That poke is going to be a barrage. It no longer is just a one and done. It's no longer just a cannon. It is a full-on Gatling gun of poke, and that poke hurts, Yanni.
Especially when you have a Baron up team. The siege is on. Dabshin on the bot side going to be able to take care of that tier 2 turret. Meanwhile, Eternal Season will go and get this mid tier 2. Zero Animosity confined to their base with a lot of poke. There's a Sleepy Trouble Bubble. There's not going to be any follow-up, but again, it's just something that you need to be aware of.
See double Baron.
Oh, hang on. I like this play on the Maddie. Knockup's going to be there as the Cyclone gets forced out. Good play by Albino Spino.
They burn a crucial flash. Maddie, one of the big initiators, big instigators for the fights on the side of SYN. So that being lost.
Albino Spino?
I mean, not if ZA come to them. They don't have to engage.
Hang on. They're going after this Garen. They're trying to waste some time. Hang on. They're all on top of Season of Leaves, but guess what? It's only Z-Score that's there, and the knockup's going to be there. There's no follow-up. Aphelios ult's going to land, but I don't think it actually did anything. Z-Score on a sliver, burns away. Guess who's in the middle of the fight? It's the Trundle. We're going to see 1 kill from the Aphelios, but he gets caught too, as they're just not on the same page. Zero Animosity have fallen apart at the seams.
Screw them not being on the same page. They're not even on the same damn book, Yanni. As now, SYN, they read Zero Animosity like a book. They predict them going in, and they respond in kind. The Baron-empowered minions are pouring onto the Nexus turrets.
They got to try. Albino Spino trying to get in. Good damage from between worlds, but the Garen falls. Maddie will go down. It's a 3v1, but the last turret's down. You got to do something, Samuel. That Nexus is exposed, but they're not giving him a chance. The Nexus will fall in game 1 to Eternal Season.
Eternal Season looking a little bit rough in that early game, but the moment Daption comes online, the moment those late game confluences for the side of SYN come together, they managed to just out team fight Zero Animosity. And honestly, going into this series, I know we haven't mentioned it yet, Yanni, but team fighting has been, I think, Zero Animosity's greatest trait. So if they cannot out team fight SYN Eternal Season, what can they use in terms of their strength wheelhouse to actually turn this series around and keep those chances at making playoffs alive?
I don't know, Quacks. It seems like they had a good strategy coming in, but we're just unable to really execute on it. And they lost their heads out there. You know, there's something to be said for willingly sacking objectives, and they were just not willing to do that. They were really just like, hey,
they had the opposite problem with SYN.
Exactly. It was just such a big issue once you especially get later on, right? You have to remember that you're buying time for your team, for your Aphelios to get big. You realize, hey, we're kind of behind. Our Aphelios is kind of weak. That means we need to play for 6 items. And every fight for an objective, they said, we're going to take it even though it's bad. Could have just given it up. And instead it meant that you were so far behind that there was nothing you could do in the end.
I mean, Inferno Dan had a really rough game on that Aphelios. I believe 2-9 was the tagline. It was a rough day for the Zero Animosity AD carry in game number 1. So I think at the end of the day, that really has to be what they change in game number 2. Not only do I think they just need to maybe give Inferno Dan a more prevalent meta ADC, but they also just need to do a better job at protecting him, right? Like say game number 2 has like a Jhin, right? You need to be willing to peel for these immobile ADCs. And it just really didn't feel like Z-Score or Aeon Crystal were willing to do that. They were more concerned with going in along with E. Samuel, along with Albino Spino, taking the fight to SYN Eternal Season, not respecting that their big source of late game damage was being forsaken all that time.
And not only that, their side lane assignments were very poor. Earlier on, they needed to recognize, hey, we need to put the Aurora into the Cassante because Cassante has no MR. For the longest time, he had no magic resistance. He built 3 items before he built the Negatron Cloak, Quacks. And if you're going to wait that long, I mean, there was a reason why, although Albino Spino was strong, he didn't have a big impact in this game. Most of his impact was felt when he got on a flank, spun in the middle of the fight, did a little bit of damage, and just pull attention from Eternal Season. He wasn't able to do a damn thing in the side lane. You could not move the immovable Cassante.
I absolutely couldn't, but going a little bit away from the negative aspects of Zero Animosity's gameplay, SYN, I thought, played a really good game in terms of spacing. I thought they were very patient with Maddie's breakpoint, waiting for that Cyclone until they actually committed to those fights. I think top lane was very patient on the Cassante as well. Turning that fight in the mid lane, I think, was really what flipped a switch for this game, or at the very least made sure that that switch could not be turned off by for the side of SYN Eternal Season. And Season of Leaves, not the best early game on the Zoe, but still keeping his distance, utilizing his champion strengths, constantly keeping himself away from harm, and never really giving away needless deaths over to Zero Animosity. So overall, want to give a huge shout out to that top side. I think they played a really good game. And if they play like this, we might just see a 2-0, Yanni. It might just be the SYN Eternal Season locked in for the top 16.
Yeah, and I like the shout that you had for Season of Leaves there. That Sleepy Trouble bubble that hit onto Inferno Dan with Alkalimity following up was what turned the game for these guys and really put them in control, and they never looked back from there. We've got a side swap for the teams, which means we do need to take a short break while they get ready. When we return, it could be the final game of the series and maybe even the season for Zero Animosity. What's going on, everybody? My name is Yanni, and I'm joined here by SYN Eternal Season's mid laner, Season, what's going on? How you been lately?
I'm pretty good. Looking forward to our match today, and I'm sure I'm 100% will win, so don't worry.
Oh, I love that. I love the confidence already. I'm also very excited for your match because I think that outside of combines, this will get to be the first time that I get to cast one of your games, which I think is pretty awesome. You are a bit more of a celebrity than some other tier 3 players.
You could say it like that. I am known for being hitting Challenger at 12, and my top 3 Challenger Lux achievements.
True, man. I dislike that playing against the champion so much. I can just imagine playing against it when you're piloting it. Sounds like it's going to be really, really annoying. But diving into my first couple questions here. So this SYN Eternal Season team looks like the best team you've been a part of in your very short competitive history. So what is the best thing about playing with such a skilled team like this?
I think playing with a skilled team just allows me to like adapt to, because Munchie and Dapshin are our main like tier 2 or tier 3 like competitive players. They're both pretty good at shot calling, and I'm just following them, and it's pretty nice. I just don't have to shot call or anything, and I'll just set up the plays for them. Yeah.
You literally get to be the chess piece that's moved around. So I'm glad that you mentioned both Dapshin and Munchie. So like with veterans like that who have really been around and on multiple different teams, have you learned anything from them as not only a player but also a person?
Well, as a person, I do love them. They're pretty nice, and their personalities are like just very well, very happy to be with. And from their skill, it's just very easy to adapt to. They're very adaptable players. Dapshin just recently role swapped to ADC to support to ADC, and I think that was a really good idea. I think his skill in ADC is very high. And with Munchie, I think he retired recently, but he's still pretty top-notch and pretty good in shape.
Yeah, he's always been pretty solid, and the Daption role swap has been actually a pleasantly surprising. I remember when he first did it, and I saw a lot of his TikTok clips. I was like, this guy's pretty good at AD carry. So like, I always thought he was pretty good at support. So getting that
Yeah.
swap over there and maybe raising up his own personal ceiling a little bit is pretty cool, and I'm glad it's working out for you guys so far. So coming into the split, you guys were ranked 11th on the first like quote unquote ranking sheet that comes out from the ACL. Do you think that was a fair placement, or do you think you were like a little underrated?
I think it's fine. We have 3 rookies, Calamity, me, and Top Lane 101. Top Lane 101 just moved from China, and he just hit 1.5 like this split.
Would go.
Calamity also hit 1.3. And then I'm just like here. I'm just here with my mages. I haven't, yeah. But I'm pretty happy for placement. It's not bad.
That's good. That's good. So your team took a loss to Mint Gaming, which is a team that, if you go off those rankings, was considered to be beneath you in the first match that you had an opportunity to escape the group out of. What was the biggest challenge that your team faced in that series? And then what's the biggest challenge that you personally faced?
I think the hardest part for our team was not having Munchie since he was MIA. He's on vacation right now with his friends, and we haven't scrimmed since last match since OQ tryouts are going on with Calamity and Daption and like Top Lane 101. I can't play since age limit is 17 though. Yeah, it's pretty ugly without Munchie. I think he's one of our cores.
That is certainly tough, especially like the jungle role was like that, and support are probably like the 2 worst roles to lose unless you have like an 80 carry top laner or a mid laner that like completely takes over the game. So I can understand why it's very difficult. So when we talk about taking over a game, given that this is an elimination match with really the most proven roster you've been on, do you feel any added pressure for the match, or do you have like a little bit extra coming in? Judging by the fact that you think you're gonna 100% win, I think you might have a little bit extra in the tank today.
We scrimmed them a few times, and then we beat them in our last stage. It's just a rematch, and we do have our sub Maddie that's coming, but we should be fine. I think we'll do amazing, and there's no pressure. I just have the pressure to win.
Hey, listen, the pressure to win is quite a bit of pressure.
It's okay.
Hey, listen, you know what? With a player of your acumen and given how much LP you've racked up, I'm sure that winning is not something very foreign to you. So I remember the post that you made in February saying that you don't really want to be part of the competitive league scene anymore. Is this still true? Do you feel differently? Did something change? Because I see you on this ACL team, and I think that's really, really cool. But it is, competitive league, right?
I wanted to just play with Daption and Munchie because they were just teamless, and I was like, do you want to play? And they're like, yeah, sure. It was my first time, and I was like, oh, this could be my first like real like team that I actually want to play with. Well, not with the other teams, but like this is the most skilled team I have played with. And due to OQ limits being 17, I'm not really into like too competitive anymore. That's why I haven't been increasing my champ pool, but I still been around with people that are in like NACL or like playing Q because they are my friends. But no, I don't want to stay in competitive. I'm just playing ACL for fun.
All right, well, that's pretty great. At least you're having a good time with it. I must say, not to put any extra pressure, not to be that guy, it is very sad. I totally understand why you feel that way though, because oh man, just these limits, man, are pretty brutal. All right, so what are your personal goals with the team then, other than just like have fun and win, right?
I always, when I played competitive, I always wanted to just be known as that like Lux mage player. The Lux archetypes of mages like Hui, Mel, Seraphine, Lux. I just wanted to be known as like that mid laner.
It seems like you've carved that out for yourself pretty well. Like, that's what most people know you for. Like, oh, yep, this guy on these artillery mages, on these long range annoying mages that everybody hates playing against. Mel specifically, Lux is bearable compared to Mel, at least in my opinion.
Don't worry, she has to reflect.
True. So that you've mentioned that like you're not really too interested in competitive league. What are you focused on, moving forward with, what you want to do next? I know you're still in school and everything like that. So I know that's probably a very deep introspective question for the point that you're currently at. But what are you interested in doing?
Well, I'm probably still gonna play League for a bit. I'm just gonna stay around, hang with friends, and going forward with my career, I might just, well, personally, I'm just going into engineering in high school. It's just a fun fact.
Yes,
And
absolutely it is.
well, and then that's kind of it. I'm just not playing League as much. I'll just play with friends. Nothing too much is going on, and school is just the same. Everybody has been through it.
Yeah, school is just school. It's kind of brutal sometimes.
In my freshman year, going to high school.
Let's go. Congratulations. Best of luck and everything like that. All right. So any shout outs? Where can we find you on socials?
Oh, you can find me everywhere. Just search up Lux One Trick and you'll find me. Don't worry. And
Or they go into do or die mode. And sadly, one of these teams metaphorically has to die today, right? In game, Yanni, in game.
You mean in tournament, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, they're going to be doing a lot of dying in game. That's just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Dying in tournament, yes. Out of game, no, absolutely not. They'll be okay.
No,
I'm
hopefully
sure.
not.
No, they will. They'll hopefully be all right. I hope if they lose, it won't be too crushing, but certainly not in the greatest of spots. I'm waiting to see what's going on with the ban situation here because they skipped their first ban. So I wonder if they're just skipping the first one instead of the last one. Okay, there we go. Just want to make sure because I was starting to get worried that, like, did they lose more bans for some reason?
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a travesty, but still, they did not let it keep them down in game number 1. SYN Eternal Season, even though they had a bit of a shaky start, Yanni, I feel like they really managed to come back and sort of rally around those team fights. Top lane in particular, I thought was really effective in those late game team fights on that Cassante, really breaching through that front line on the side of Zero Animosity and allowing for the damage from Daption, allowing for the damage from, Season of Leaves to really pour on in as the game went by. But we were just talking a lot about metaphorically dying in tournament. The person, though, that was dying a lot in game, it was Inferno Dan, Yanni. And like we said before we went to break, we really want to see a stylistic change around how the team plays around him. Going on the Aphelios is good, but you need to realize its weaknesses, that being the immobility and the fact that it needs protection in order to function in those fights. And so if Zero Animosity go for a similar pick, something like a Varus, something like a Jhin that doesn't have any dashes, any way to really self-reposition in these fights, they have to be willing to play differently around that AD carry pick.
Yeah, I want to see them pick like a Lucian or something like that, right? Because this is a champion that in all phases of the game is pretty strong and does have that dash to be able to slide out of there if you get Flicker Blades, gets to lower the cooldown of that dash if the conditions are right. We are going to see a first pick Gwen coming through here for Zero Animosity, and I honestly love it, right? I think that Albino Spino played a really solid game. Oh my, that seems tough. He's going to be put to the test once again by Top Lane 101 with the set lock-in.
This is an absolute travesty matchup for Gwen. Set absolutely runs the lane. So it's going to be a bit of a difficult time for Albino Spino on this Gwen. That said, though, you don't pick Gwen for the laning phase, Yanni. You pick it to be that late game hyper carry. And I do think that this is probably going to dictate the range at which SYN Eternal Season is going to be comfortable playing at, where they need to realize maybe it's not great indexing into poke like we did last game. Maybe we need a little bit more snap engage willingness to get up close and personal. And Talia doesn't reflect that because that is still a Season of Leaves champion, but has the potential to reposition this Gwen and punish her for moving around too much with those Legos.
And if I'm Zero Animosity, I like a Jarvan here. I know it's a little scary to be Jarvan in with a set, but you have low mobility on Talia, low mobility on this set. I'd say go and rip it. Now with the Annie lock in here, Jarvan's still, the door is still open there. They could elect to take away the Xin Zhao if they wanted, because it's such a good combo with Talia. They might lock in the vibe, but the Pantheon will work. They want to break up that global combination. I think it's probably the weakest mid jungle of the three, but I think it's also the strongest champion that you could pick here.
And SYN Eternal Season are going to go for a little bit more disengage. I like how
I like it.
Much choice SYN Eternal Season have and when they want to fight for a lot of these skirmishes, at least early on, right? You've got the Legos to, prevent those dashes. You've got the Sejuani with the Arctic Assault, right? With the ultimate and just all of that CC that allows her to be not only super slippery, but allows you to be not slippery and basically stand still, locks you down for a really long time. So I think SYN Eternal Season, the onus is going to be on recognizing when a fight is advantageous and when a fight is not good, and they should opt to disengage instead. That Pantheon Annie, I think, definitely makes me think that those early game fights will not be in the wheelhouse for SYN Eternal Season to actually take. So this is starting to look like it's a similar strategy by both sides of game number, compared to game number 1, where we've got early game in your face shoving from Zero Animosity and a bit more slow and steady coming from SYN Eternal Season.
Yeah, and that surprises me why Zero Animosity went ahead and banned the Kai'Sa, because I think Kai'Sa fits quite well in their composition. Could have paired it up with a dive support, and you would be in a really good spot. So Corki is going to be locked in for Eternal Season. It does give them a lot of early game power. You have good CC coming out of the Sejuani. You've got good zone control with the Talia and the early power from the Corki. That could be enough to get you over the top. We are going to see the Sivir lock in, though, which does not match Corki with early power.
I really did not like. I was literally in my head. I was screaming Corki for Eternal Season, and then I was screaming Sivir for Eternal Season, and then I was saying, "Oh my God, please don't let it be Sivir for Zero Animosity. That would be detrimental to the Syndicate." Because frankly, I feel like these AD carries should be switched for their comp, in my opinion, Yanni. I feel like
Yeah,
Sivir
I
would
agree.
be a lot better for stalling out the game and being much better at choosing when to actually fight, but also circumventing some of that, mobility issues that you had with these solo laners and having that on the hunt for them to be able to close the gap. So it's not the best comp here for SYN Eternal Season. I think they're very split on what they actually want to do. Meanwhile, Zero Animosity, I think, have a very solid comp. Lock in with that Bard who will be following Pantheon around and be setting up a tent in that top side, I imagine. And you've got a really deadly comp that you cannot disrespect if you're SYN.
Al Calamity, a polar bear in Arlington, Texas. He is picking up Nami to pair with the Corki. Okay, so this tells me that Eternal Season realized with the Sivir that Zero Animosity lost a lot of their early game power and thinks that the Nami will be able to put them over the top and that they'll be able to win 4v4s or even just 3v3s.
I mean,
because Sejuani should be tanky enough and Corki will be able to deal enough damage and he'll have enough sustain. I think that both of these comps really took an odd left turn where they maybe shouldn't have. I will say, I don't mind the Sivir just because it's constant pressure. It's constant pressure for the Pantheon to be able to move around and the Annie as well. But later on, being able to drop that ultimate after the Pantheon ults, or if you're just trying to get in without the Grand Starfall, plus getting Annie a little bit closer, giving that movement speed, even the Gwen later, is going to be very impactful.
It certainly is. And honestly, if there's a champion that I don't really like, Yanni, it's definitely this Nami. I feel like you said, you pick Nami, not only for the disengage that the tidal wave provides, but you also have that extra little bit of oomph in the laning phase. What else is Sivir going to be? What else is Sivir going to be spell shielding though than the bubble? Like there's nothing else that really
Nami tidal wave.
I mean, Nami tidal wave once she hits level 6. Frankly though,
not in lane. This is not for lane. The lane for lane is just the sheer damage. And sometimes you'll be able to get it. Even if the bubble gets spell shielded, if you get to W your Corki, that itself can absolutely turn a fight. I think the Nami is just so strange, but it fits oddly well here. I am very curious to see what they do with this bottom lane in the early game. Quacks, it's enough yapping and time to see what happens on the Rift. Zero Animosity, backs against the wall. Game 2 coming at you.
This is Syndicate's moment to lock themselves into playoffs, and this is Zero Animosity's moment to go from zero to hero. That's the second time I've made that pun. I probably shouldn't do it again, but it seriously spells that it's do or die time here in the ACL, Yanni. Loser goes home, winner moves on to the top 16. So stakes literally could not be higher at this point in the competition. And Inferno Dan, oh no, he's doing the Masu thing where he's AFK.
Oh no, bro, that's bad. Did you see that? I'm not gonna talk too much about it. Did you see that joke on Twitter the other day?
Bro, I see so many jokes on Twitter, honestly.
The Masu specific joke.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yes.
The oh my goodness one. That was crazy.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying.
If you know, you know, and if you don't know,
you know.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Sure. Or maybe you don't know.
Maybe you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
So we got some wards going down here. Ward on the bottom chickens here for Eternal Season. So they're going to be aware that this Pantheon, or have a vague idea that this Pantheon started up on the top side. They are going to swap sides. Yeah, I find this quite interesting. They're also going to swap lanes too.
Yeah,
and this is a very smart move by Zero Animosity.
I agree. I think top lane 101, obviously the big thing that really makes the game difficult for Set, one of his biggest weaknesses is that lack of range, right? And so especially with E. Samuel having that base rush, you should be able to quickly combo the Set, run away before he can return the damage with the Haymaker. And basically, it's just all about timing that keystone, right? If you have it up, you look for a trade, you run out, and you just keep rinsing and repeating. And top lane really doesn't like that right now. Yeah,
E. Samuel, though, taking a lot of punches there. It's a little worrisome, but he was able to get solid damage down. What I find really interesting here at Quax is how this is going to affect lane swaps a little bit later, because I think that Samuel can easily go into the Talia. So you could have a situation where they shift everybody downward. They shift Gwen into a 2v1 for a little bit. You send the Sivir up top with a Bard to really set behind the set, because Gwen is one of those champions, and it's been proven in pro play that you can put in a 2v1 and she could be just fine.
Absolutely, right? That hallowed mist, Gwen is immune. It's not a meme. Well, it is a meme, but it's also quite accurate. Very good defensive, but it's on a very
top
cooldown. Oh, here we go.
Top lane 101 gonna get stunned up here. Yeah, there's no shot. Good attempt, but it's not gonna work out. It's gonna be an easy first blood for Aeon Crystal.
Didn't have the haymaker. Really had no way to, both literally and figuratively find the counter punch on the set. So it is just going to be a first blood given over to Aeon Crystal. And I like where their head's at, honestly, Zero Animosity. I feel like doing this swap, it's beneficial to Samuel as... Oh, hang on.
Oh, here we go. I like this play out of Maddie. Samuel is going to flash. Unfortunately, not going to be able to give it over to top lane 101, but he'll take it yourself. Turnabout's fair play. Big bubble landing is Z-Score making a critical error. Daption, is the heal not going to be in time? No, and all of a sudden, Inferno Dan is going to be able to run down Al Calamity. Trying to give himself some movement speed. He's forced to flash away. A big win in the bot lane for Zero Animosity.
A lot of skirmishing happening between both of these teams. 3.5 minutes, almost 4 minutes into the game. We've got 4 kills. These teams are just chomping at the bit for that proactivity. And I gotta be honest with you, Yanni, I feel like Zero Animosity are the guys that probably are winning out in these 2v2s, even though the gold is slightly in SYN Eternal Season's favor.
Quax, it's 4 minutes in, who cares?
Yeah, but still, getting that gold onto the Pantheon, really good. Getting that Sivir gold early is really good. I really like where Zero Animosity are getting their members ahead. It just feels like it is more beneficial to them at the end of the day.
Spino may be able to dash out of there. Dragon going to be up in about 30 seconds. We'll see if the double longsword Pantheon can beat Big Belt Sejuani. Maybe looking to put belt to ass there down in one of these fights. We do see Bard roaming around here, doing what Bard does best. Going to relieve some pressure. Leaves. Actually, yeah, because Z-Score is so fast, couldn't really react in time. He's got a late flash, but he's able to at least walk away.
Inferno Dan takes a little bit of punish on the bot side, but those, what are they called? Shrines are going to do well at the very least, allowing Sivir to farm this wave under tower while Z-Score visited the mid lane. But still, that's a really big summoner to burn off of Season of Leaves. We saw in game number 1 how difficult it was for some of those members who didn't have flash, particularly those immobile carries on, honestly, both sides of the matchup to not overextend, and a lot of them were getting caught out. The big one, obviously, was Inferno Dan, who still doesn't have his flash available, but still has that kill under his belt, so will certainly be able to fight back.
Albino Spino looking for the 1v1. Top lane 1-on-1 flashes, and Maddie is going to cut off Albino Spino. You should have just waited for Aeon Crystal. Feet of Warfare going over to Eternal Season.
That's just a patience gap coming out from the side of SYN Eternal Season. And you could see Aeon Crystal didn't have a wave, couldn't join up with this top laner. Really wanted to look for that kill, especially having that flash. Could have probably closed the gap if the minions were just there to initially take that aggro. So it will be, almost feels like a robbery, Yanni, on the top side. As now Maddie resets with 2 kills, double.
Oh, big damage coming out again. Z-Score about 2 autos away from death. Aeon Crystal showing up. They're going to combine their forces, him and this Annie, and that is a direct consequence of Z-Score's roam mid.
Both junglers gravitating toward this bot side because all 4 participants of that lane are so unbelievably low. The junglers, they don't see human beings at this point. They see sacks of gold ready to be claimed, but it doesn't look like any of those are going to be
Oh, I like Dabsham's aggressiveness here, but the barrier is going to get used. Bubble not landing on anybody. And Z-Score and Inferno Dan just have too much strength with the big W heal. Doesn't turn it around. Isn't enough. The auto attacks to level up for Z-Score. How Calamity goes down. It's a double kill for the Bard. Meanwhile, up top, we're going mano a mano. And top lane 101 will not be able to close out on the kill.
Almost manages to find it onto Albino Spino. Dragon still up, but I feel like the Grubs have a lot of weight attached to them this game, Yanni, particularly when you have a global ultimate in the Pantheon, especially also when you have a set on the other side. Both of these teams, I think, would really benefit from that extra pressure that you get from split pushing. Albino? Ooh!
Oh, okay.
Well,
top lane 101. Just taking him to school.
Yep. Knockout. No TKOs here. No decision by the ref. It is a straight up double punch by top lane 101. Secures.
Well, hang on. TKO is theoretically better than regular KO.
That is right. You know, it's been a while since I played Punch Out. That's like my only basis for
my goat. Punch Out. All right. Which Punch Out did you play? Did you play the Wii version?
I played the Wii version. I am not old enough for Mike Tyson's, bro.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you weren't able to play it. I mean, I was 10 when I played it at summer camp. As a Sejuani going to go wide, paying homage to NA's best jungler. But Samuel trying to escape. Maddie takes too much damage and goes down. And now Season of Leaves is split off as Z-Score and Inferno Dan want to run him down. The rest of the team will be able to link up with their mid laner. Seismic Shove. Going to go sideways there. They want to get more poke. Big stun by Z-Score, who's putting in so much work. They're looking to take him down. Out Calamity falls. Season of Leaves falls. And Aeon, Crystal, and Z-Score are doing the most right now.
What are SYN Eternal Season doing? I mean, they know they don't have numbers advantage. They know they're walking forward into 4-0 Animosity. Take the free gold. Get the reset. Should be able to get back onto the map as both objectives are still standing. And Maddie will be the first onto the Grubs. Top lane having that prio should mean they secure them, but still unnecessary, I feel, aggression from SYN Eternal Season. And now Aeon is 3-0. Inferno Dan is 3-1 on the Sivir. These are late game to mid game threats that are thriving in the early game, Yanni.
Yeah, this bridge has been built with the strongest steel. That bridge of Aeon Crystal to Inferno Dan, so stable. See Dabshin and Al Calamity, again, they just do so much damage. Z-Score will be forced to flash away, but they have yet to really convert on too many kills.
They're trying to look for these aggressive things, but just aren't able to find any. The Dragon is still up. I feel like if you want to try and bait Zero Animosity into going into you, which should be the plan for this comp anyway, you start up an objective, you try to trade 1-for-1. After those Grubs, you know, were secured by SYN Eternal Season, there should be no reason where they just aren't looking for as many neutrals as possible, because they're not winning in the kill department. They have to be looking for ulterior means.
Oh, another nice play here after Summoner's down, forcing them out. Good play. The Pantheon Flash is going to be up soon, so look for him to pay a revisit to Season a little later.
Season, though, does have teleport, also has the Weaver's Wall, so not only should be able to get back to lane, but if a fight breaks out around this Dragon, as Zero Animosity are posturing around it, can split up the members of ZA. So it looks like they're just going to portal over. SYN are going to start up this Dragon. No Pantheon ultimates, but still, you got to be looking at that Tibbers. Keep your eye on E. Samuel.
Launch Bartle too. Z-Score is going to be able to land on top of Dabshin, but a good stun means they can't get close to him. He's going to Valk over the wall. Bubble coming down. Maddie is frontlining, but he can't take any more. He goes down. Inferno Dan forced off. Samuel, again, you mentioned that Tibbers did good damage to Season of Leaves, but Zero Animosity get out with their kill.
It's a one and done, but most importantly, SYN lose their jungler, so Zero Animosity don't have to worry about Eternal Season rebounding right onto that Dragon. They can rest easy, push out their lanes, and pick up these waves as Inferno Dan actually has to burn his flash, so that will be down for the Sivir, though. I don't think a dive really is possible for Dabshin and Al Calamity, given that Aeon Crystal and Z-Score are right around the corner.
Dragon being a big magnet for fights, and the big issue with Eternal Season, Quacks, is that they don't have the scaling. The scaling's all over on Zero Animosity, which means you're almost forced to try and continue to fight, because every minute that ticks by is more time for Zero Animosity. If Zero Animosity take a dragon, that's an extra 5 minutes for them. We talked about that in game 1 when we talked about the scaling. This time around, they already inherently have so much more time.
It's a really rough timer, I think, for the side of... Ooh, it's good damage onto E. Samuel, but it's not going to add on to a kill. This is already a really bad timer, I think, for SYN Eternal Season if they want to try and match that late game. They've got to do so with the Soul as...
He's just dead. Ooh. Another successful gank out of this Pantheon. And Quacks, when there's a Pantheon in the game, you have to know the priority is to make them useless in the early game.
It's also just the fact that, I mean, SYN, they're going to be looking at this dragon and saying, okay, we can go for it, but, I mean, that
round 2, baby. Season of Leaves has no flash. There we go. We're going to hop right on top of him and take him out. The tidal wave is too little too late.
The dragon, they're going to manage to secure that one. It feels like too little too late for the side of...
Wasn't worth it.
I know, it definitely wasn't, but I mean, thinking about it a little bit more, you know, big picture-wise, it's still going to be like 15, 20 minutes until that Soul, which I think is obviously the main end goal for any time you take a dragon. That is going to mean that 33 minutes into the game is at the earliest when the Dragon Soul will be threatened. That is not a timer that you want to leave to chance if you are SYN. 33-minute Sivir, 33-minute Gwen, hell no.
They're decimating in the bot lane. Al Calamity is just getting chopped down. Another great stun by Z-Score as Zero Animosity, with their season on the line, have responded here. Not even 14 minutes into this game.
Aeon might be in a little bit of trouble. He's
We're
just
finally making a play. We
Yep.
finally used Weaver's Wall. Seismic shove, lands flush, and a shutdown goes to season with a big stun coming through from E. Samuel. It's going to force off the rest of SYN Eternal Season, as it looks like they will be able to get out with their prize.
I like top lane holding that haymaker. Sometimes the threat of an attack is just as effective as the attack itself, so it's going to cause Zero Animosity's remaining members on that top side to not go for the chase, not risk giving more gold over to SYN Eternal Season. Frankly, you said it, Yanni. First proactive play from them all game. But the question really is, even if now, if this starts like a new trend for them to be more active on the map, like, is it enough? Has that timer already passed? Has Zero Animosity already reached the point of no return? As Gwen is closing in on that first item, Sivir is closing in on that second. So these breakpoints, they're coming faster than you would expect. And frankly, there's not a lot of time for you to really look for many picks like that without getting punished.
I think they have to recognize Annie's got no flash, Sivir's got no flash. I think you have to attack them. They have shutdowns attached to them, right? Once Maddie's ultimate is up, you have to go and make a play in either of those spots, and you have to do it fast because you must get this gold back into your pockets as soon as possible.
Dragon, not going to be up for a really long time, but Herald, it's a different story as it is spawned on that top side now. You can see Zero Animosity, I think the team better posturing around this. Albino is in the bush, maybe looking for some type of a flank. Aeon does have the ultimate, so they could look for a pinch play if they wanted to.
Damshin is in melee range, but he got stunned. He's got to get out of there. He did have to use the cleanse. He's got Trinity Force, but he thinks he's strong. You see a Pantheon ult getting used just a little too late. We'll even up the numbers up there. Inferno Dan is still on the bottom side right now. He is now taking a recall.
Be present for a little bit. This should give SYN Eternal Season at least some time to rebound. You can see they're pushing essentially in all three lanes. Top lane, Daption, and All Calamity have the range advantage, so they are just using those rockets to shove those waves in. Top lane, a similar story on the bot side, and then Season of Leaves was left alone mid, so this could be a timer for them to possibly look to make an aggressive play onto Zero Animosity. E. Samuel does not have that flash, so I think that Annie has to be priority number one for them if they want to look for a pick.
That's just one auto attack onto Inferno Dan, and it does so much damage. His top turret will go down. That's a lot of gold into the back pocket of Corki. And remember, with Corki going these tier builds, he does have a much harder mid-game spike. I think that's going to be the time where we're going to see Eternal Season fight a little bit more.
Good Z-score, though. Maybe looking for something aggressive. Really want to see Season of Leaves hug this top side. you know, if there's a play to be made by Zero Animosity under that tower, if Talia can respond, they can possibly flip it on its head, but there might be a play in bot side instead, as I think Albino Spino realizes that, gives up the turret. And this is 50 seconds ahead of the Dragon, so good look from SYN to at least take control of this bot side, even though I'm sure they're aware this Herald is not for them.
Here we go, Albino Spino. They're going to CC lock him. The permafrost was there. It's a great play.
Oh.
And Z-Score is going to have a late Tempered Fate come in. Now that Rift Herald being down, they do have the man advantage for about 25 seconds, but Rift Herald usually gets you control of the Dragon.
It does get you control of the Dragon, and also SYN, I mean, at face value, you could say that they get a kill, so they should be able to own this bot side river, but that was a really costly kill. You use both of those ultimates in order to secure that pick onto Albino Spino, who has his own ultimate and teleport, so should be able to just rejoin right into the fight. That pick, it's good gold for SYN Eternal Season, but in the grand scheme of things, looking for that Dragon, it doesn't make much of a difference, Yanni.
Adaption taking a bit of a rough trade there, but does have his heal bot ready for him. We do see Pantheon over the wall. We see Set walk right into him, and they're going to go right in on top lane 101. He is forced to flash away. The Weaver's Wall going to get expended, and not really going to get a whole lot of value out of it.
I mean, you only have really one ultimate available, and it's all Calamities. I feel like SYN Eternal Season, they have to be willing to give up this Dragon. Albino Spino's on the top side. He's going to be pushing. He's going to be drawing attention probably from top lane himself. This is difficult when you don't have those abilities on lock.
Well, he burned the Valkyrie. E. Samuel does have Flash, so there is time to expose this Corki. Maddie's got to hop over the wall as well. It's complete domination by Zero Animosity, and they didn't even have to use the Rift Herald.
No, they can pop it just for good measure. I think at this point it would be really good to knock down that mid lane turret so you can secure more territory around the map. As Dragon has been started. Both top laners are in the top lane. They have teleport though, so they can respond. Keep your eyes on that.
E. Samuel just waiting. And ward got placed down, but it is a pink. E. Samuel does have Flash available. Flash Tibbers gonna go crazy here. You know he's waiting for it. Here's our engage.
Oh,
our ultimate going down. Tibbers gonna get dropped there on two quality members as Season of Leaves burns away. Maddie is forced out, but he can't escape. Double TPs as top lane 101 immediately gets stunned. He's built up all this grit. He's gotta land a big haymaker, but that grit is falling away. He does manage to get out with the blast cone, but the Dragon secured for Zero Animosity, and they win another fight.
I mean, top lane 101 is getting that Minecraft achievement of, wait, how did we get here? As he teleports in, two of his members are gone. His whole team is running for the hills. The Dragon has been claimed. All the things go the way of Zero Animosity, and nothing for SYN Eternal Season. At the end of all of that, they just continue to scale. Yanni, we've said it so many times, but Sivir, Annie, Pantheon, Gwen, this top side is so lethal in the late game. Eternal Season, that window to quickly turn this game around, it is fading, it is falling.
Inferno Dan chunked to about half HP. Does have Infinity Edge coming soon. Otacon on the bot side. Season of Leaves up a little bit too far, and it looks like he might get caught out here. E. Samuel looking to run him down. Does land the stun. Bard stun followed up. Can they save Season? No, but they need to turn around to make this fight happen. E. Samuel running for the hills, but he will fall. But they find the Corki. Dabshin in trouble. Nobody's there to save him. The bear is burning out Calamity, and Z-Score along with Aeon Crystal take him out too, and they turn around the numbers game.
Maddie, the only one to live to tell the tale. Sejuani survives, but it's three members of Zero Animosity on this bot side, and frankly, they're in no rush to go for this Otacon. They're looking straight for the Sedge.
Dive, dive, dive as Maddie is forced to flash away, but they will find the boar all the same.
The boar goes down. Sejuani goes down. The jungler for SYN Eternal Season goes down. And the Otacon should be the next thing to fall after this turret. Zero Animosity are eating good in game 2, and they're leaving no crumbs, Yanni.
Dude, even their crumbs don't have crumbs, bro. Like, there's just... They lick the plate clean. It is a very dominating performance out of these guys. Inferno Dan had a complete turnaround this game. I think played the lane very well. Game's not over yet, Quacks, but it certainly feels like it. Top lane 101 getting desperate and getting 3-man.
Getting 3-man, but look at the rest of SYN Eternal Season. They should be looking for this Otacon. The Otacon is up on the bot side. Aeon Crystal doesn't have the Grand Starfall, but they're not looking for a cross-map play, Yanni.
Man, this is how you know a team has been defeated. They just have no response. They are not snappy in their decision-making. Nobody, it's like, oh, we can do Otacon. Because what's the worst that happens? You go down
There's
to
not even
Otacon.
teleports.
You go down to Otacon,
teleports.
you don't do it in time, and they kill you in a game that you were already losing.
They're just rolling over and dying. They are not being proactive. They're not even being reactive in this game anymore. A 3-man play onto top lane happens, and you don't make anything happen on the bot side. You don't even take down the mid turret. There's nothing that SYN Eternal Season accomplished, despite so many resources being burned to take down the set. As now, you can see Season of Leaves catches that top wave, but doesn't have teleport, has the Weaver's Wall. It's at level 2, so does go a pretty fair distance. If the Otacon does get started up, he will be able to respond. And I feel like that has to be the last hurrah at this point for SYN Eternal Season. If they can make something happen at the Otacon, they can save this game. But barring anything there, Yanni, it feels like we probably are going to game 3. It certainly smells like silver, my friend.
Oh, you are so right. Well, it's not smelling like silver. It's only 3 games. We're not quite at the best of 5 yet. The thing that might be smelling like silver is the gameplay out of SYN Eternal Season. It has been not great, to say the least. They're down 5,000 gold. We still need to see Season of Leaves make a greater impact on this Talia. Weaver's Wall, such a powerful team fight tool. If you can cut off the proper members, we've seen 2 uses of Weaver's Wall, one in the top lane to secure a kill, and the other one in the mid lane that did a whole lot of nothing.
Really been rough for SYN Eternal Season this game, but a massive statement here by Zero Animosity. So many people, you said it, they had the regular season 1 and 4. They're managing to come back here as Maddie whiffs the ult.
Samuel getting
my
burst in,
God.
goes down. Daption, is he going to be able to escape? The Bears running him down. Here comes Pantheon on the backside. Yeah, you get the dive done. The shutdown goes to Maddie. But guess what? You lose 4 members. A 4 for 2 as the Otacon will be taken right after this dragon.
And top lane should be able to get this turret, but I don't really think the set is getting anything else other than that. Unless Z-Score steps up too far.
If you can find this Bard, it's big. It is a lot of gold. Ooh. Stuns out. Top lane 101 trying to get close to him. Because he's going to focus on the turret while he waits for his cooldowns to come through. Remember, Z-Score will have the stun. Top lane 101 is just going to finish the turret. He's got a mini shield.
What?
No,
what?
He stopped hitting the turret.
I thought he had it. He had it. Okay.
All right, go next. Go next.
It happened. Yeah. Otacon
go next.
Otacon claimed by Zero Animosity. Dragon is there. Baron is there. There's so much standing gold available for Zero Animosity to make a bad game go from that to worse. And honestly, the way SYN Eternal Season are fighting, it just feels like they have no hope in this game, Yanni.
They're fighting?
I think Rose-Tinted Glasses, like, Set lands a massive 5-man ultimate. Nami follows up with a wave, and Daption, who still does a fair bit of damage on this Corki, manages to lay down the rockets, lay down the Gatling gun damage, and, maybe just is able to layer all of that. But those are the Rose-Tinted Glasses. That very rarely is rooted in reality.
All right, we've perma-frosted the Pantheon. We're going all in on him. Can they take him out? They do. A big shutdown to top lane 101. Inferno ain't going to be the next target. He's going to flash away. And all of a sudden, the map is their oyster.
And they're going to go straight for the Baron. Screw the Dragon at this point. You are 25, 26 minutes into the game, and it would only be your second Dragon. That is a waste of time, a waste of resources. SYN Eternal Season, they've got bigger fish to fry. It's not a fish, it's a worm. And he is very purple.
Samuel, look where he's at up top. He's got flash available. Z-Score is 1v1ing Season of Leaves right now. He's still alive. We go, Temper Fake down. Albino Spino getting in the middle of the fight. Big stun by Samuel. They're going to turn on him, though. Season of Leaves still alive. Will finally fall. The Baron's going to be able to help out a little bit. The permafrost is there. Top lane 101 putting in work. Albino Spino's going to run, but the Baron resets.
And top lane manages to get a massive haymaker, finds the pick onto Inferno Dan. The Sivir was not able to operate in that fight. They don't get the Baron, but they get so much gold. It's only 1.5k in favor of Zero Animosity. A massive closure from where it was just 90 seconds ago, Yanni, at 4k.
They are still in it, but they still have a lot of work to do. Albino Spino going to push up a little bit too far. He's looking for this tier 2. It looks like he'll probably get it. Maddie is going to engage him. This turret is still up. It's doing damage to Albino Spino. There's the permafrost, and they will be able to find the solo kill. That is a lot of gold, and once again, a man advantage.
It's top lane dead, like you said, for 40 seconds. That means Zero Animosity won't have the numbers to fight for this dragon. SYN, Eternal Season are maneuvering everybody toward this bot side. Still, they're big.
I just went Baron. I'm surprised they're not ripping Baron.
I would go Dragon. You have more territory on that part of the map. I mean, look at how little vision SYN Eternal Season had on that top side. It is dangerous to be walking around that darkness with a Annie waiting in the wings. They got lucky in the last fight that E. Samuel wasn't able to one-shot anybody. But, you know, lightning doesn't strike twice in the same spot, honestly, Yanni.
Yeah, and that's why I think they should have went to the Baron, because lightning doesn't strike twice. I don't know if you're going to get another opportunity like that with against the team that scales so hard. I think that despite the fact that they've closed this gold gap, Quacks, they are still in a very, very bad spot.
Certainly are in a spot where they have to climb a mountain. I certainly agree with you. But now they've got some equipment with them after that topside fight. It's going to be a little bit easier than it was 3 minutes ago. The big thing they really have to, I think, focus on from here on out is breaking down that mid lane turret. They've got a pretty big wave, and Daption is actually fully committing to it. But I mean, look at the power of Sivir. That is just your target has to be Inferno Dan every single time, not just because it is one of the main damage dealers of Zero Animosity, but because if SYN Eternal Season want to capitalize on any sort of
control here. Pantheon walked up a little bit too far, but did not get punished for it. That is massive as Z-Score just getting some slows. And again, you mentioned this Sivir, those bouncing blades just chopping through the health bars, taxing Al Calamity's ability to heal.
Albino Spino is going to use that is like a case
never punished.
Yep, that is like the 2025 fair and balanced version of like the Rise Realm Warp with the Zonias, where it was just guaranteed to get him out. Gwen immune plus the Hex Gates as Season of Leaves is walking forward into Albino Spino.
He's a little bit tankier than Albino Spino, but here comes Maddie and he whiffs the ultimate. Albino Spino's able to get out.
Still, he manages to save his mid laner. Season of Leaves stands tall. He stands proud. His Eternal Season has been beat up. It has seen a bit of a winter here for the first 25 minutes, but now it might just turn into spring if they can look for another team fight. If they can turn one more play, one more skirmish on its head, that 2-0 dream could still be alive. The playoffs are still within eye distance. They are still within reach. They just got to go and grab them. E. Samuel is on the top side. Maddie not having that pick tool. I feel like it's going to be really difficult for them to actually look for some of these flashless members until that's back up, Yanni.
Yeah, and really, once it's back up, I mean, Sivir's flash is going to be up. You can have the spell shield on top of it, too. The Bard is so fast when he has the fully stacked Deadmans that he's just kind of hard to target himself. I mean, if you burn Pantheon Flash, sometimes you just get punished on the overextend. We are seeing multiple members on the bottom side of the map here for the side of Zero Animosity. And if this Pantheon shows, I think you could rip and just try to get the Pantheon ultimate out. He is really heavily invested down here. It looks like he'll move back up.
I feel like you have to try, especially because top lane is definitely going to be buying a lot of time for them to actually kill him, right? They have
Weaver's Wall.
Weaver's Wall.
Yep, they're going to use this to get the mid turret. Inferno Dan stuck in the corner.
There it is.
This mid turret's still alive, guys. They're finally going to take it out. Here comes the tidal wave. It's not going to do a whole lot, but Maddie getting healed, getting out of there. Tiver's got dropped. They use a lot. Are they going to be able to find Season of Leaves? He's still alive.
Albino on the side.
The Bear's doing so much. Albino comes through and is ripping them apart like tissue paper. Daption's trying to get away, but he's too slow, and he runs out of room, and he goes down. A 3-0 for Zero Animosity, and the Baron is theirs.
The Baron should be a surefire thing, but they still have to send Albino Spino back toward the bot side as top lane is just tearing the base asunder. That's an inhibitor here for SYN Eternal Season. So even though you have the Baron for zero animosity, those supers are going to be pouring into the base. He wants more. He's going for it.
These respawn, bro, but look at all the damage he does. He's got more minions. Albino Spino couldn't hold him up. He holds back. Okay, top lane. He will finally back off. The Baron recalls are there. I love the look there.
Yeah.
But not able to get it done.
That was good. I mean, even if you don't manage to take down the Nexus, even if you don't manage to end the game, you still force zero animosity to play catch-up on the bot side of the map. They have to push in these waves. They have to get them in an advantageous position before they can really leverage that Baron buff with the priority that it brings. As now, you're fighting the Baron. You're on even footing. There's still 4,000 gold that separates these teams, Yanni. But the question is, 32.5 minutes, will it make the difference for ZA to close out this match?
Maddie over the wall, but not going to be able to find anybody there as SYN Eternal Season really wants sole point here. But I don't think they need to go for it, Quacks. I think it's just safer to give it up. We've seen this happen before. You're behind, enemy's got a Baron. If you lose this fight, you are going to lose the game. Maddie all the way in, looking for Z-score. Where's the side?
Inferno Dan!
It's flush! Inferno Dan goes down! Season is out of there! Albino Spino's a little too slow. Samuel takes a full
Haymaker!
face, but Albino Spino's on the backside. Here's the Pantheon in trouble. Tempers goes down. Top lane 101 falls, but Daption is healthy. He must turn the fight, but the Bear will slow him up. The Pantheon moving forward, looking for more. He's got to get out. 3 for 2 in favor of zero animosity.
Zero Animosity still have their jungler up as well, which means they should be able to secure this Dragon Z-score. He's trying to play poke.
Daption wants back in.
Once more, but you got to be careful. There are 2 point-and-click stuns.
He's going for Z-score. One more auto will do it. He got him, but look on the backside how Calamity goes down, which means Daption's not able to get more, but he's sticking around. Daption, get out of there, buddy.
Yeah, he is going to live to fight another day. The only member of SYN Eternal Season that can say that. It was a really good look by them at the start of the fight. They immediately find a pick onto Inferno Dan. Samuel isn't able to burn anyone in the backline. In fact, the Haymaker was fully charged, and it half-shot the Annie. But still, zero animosity. They win out in the fight. They get their second dragon of the game. They hold on to some Baron buffs while they're at it, so they should be able to clear these super minions on the bot side. But this game, seriously, from the first 20 minutes, you would not expect that it would almost double in length from how dominant zero animosity were for that early game and mid game.
Yeah, I have to credit Eternal Season for being able to hang in there, despite the fact that some of these Sejuani ults haven't really hit. Maddie has been very decisive. It's so crazy that opening up that fight on Z-score was what really opened it up. Inferno Dan getting caught. It was just such a good flank, but they got so split near the end of it. We do have a lot of downtime here, Quacks. 3 minutes until the next Baron, 4 minutes until the next Ocean Dragon, which means Inferno Dan getting closer to the full item spikes. And if you get a pick like this, it won't actually matter.
They're going to use the Weaver's Wall, but they're going to think better of chasing down that kill onto Aeon Crystal. Daption, though, I'm really surprised to see essentially no armor pen come through from SYN Eternal Season. The only person that has any kind of frontline shred is top lane with that Black Cleaver. And when the big issues at the current moment that are plaguing you is just the fact that Aeon Crystal is so tanky, so difficult to kill, I feel like you need a little bit more response and respect to actually burn through him. Samuel. Oh no!
Now Calamity is cooked. Tidal Wave gonna come in. They're not gonna be able to get the turret. Inferno Dan speeding him up. There we go. Tempered Fate will end Season of Leaves, and the rest of the team is getting run down. Daption does not have the movement speed. Look at how fast they go. Vroom vroom. Run him over. Beep beep. I'm a Jeep. As zero animosity will push down mid.
Zero animosity. They want to try and look for the end. It's 40 seconds on the death timers. All Calamity as well. 20 seconds on him. Maddie is going to reset. You can see that top lane is going to do the same. There might have been an angle for him to just brute force his way through Albino Spino, but he realizes the dire straits that they are in. They have to defend. They have a last hurrah here. 10 on the Nami.
Albino Spino's TPing in. You don't have a whole lot of time. You gotta do something. They pull in the Pantheon, but a big double stun lands. Big damage. And it will be enough to drive him away. Z-Score tanking this up. Top lane 101 getting a heal. But guess what? Albino Spino's going to go down. He's in between the Nexus turrets, and he's got nowhere to go. He'll finally fall as they hold the line for now. Inferno Dan will walk out with the rest of his team.
And now we're at the point where the death timers have reached basically 1 minute, Yanni. We've got around the same time until that Baron is up. Both junglers are available. Season of Leaves. Not going to be able to find anything.
So clutch there.
Yup, manages to secure and exfiltrate his AD carry as well as himself, but still, these late recalls from the side of Zero Animosity are going to allow SYN Eternal Season to really carve out this top side, establish vision, get a foothold ahead of this Baron spawning, and we're right back to where we were just a few minutes ago. We said the dragon would be the straw that broke the camel's back, but it wasn't. This, though, might be the thing that both of these teams need. Siege has been the biggest thing that they have been wanting for all throughout this game, Yanni. With the Baron, they will get just that.
We've gone so late here, Quacks, but you can see Albino Spino's damage is finally starting to get to that late game Gwen that we expected. Season of Leaves has not been able to make a positive impact in this game. He's 1-10-8. He did have that one really nice seismic shove, but if his team wants to go 2-0 and they want to make it to the next round of playoffs, he needs to find a way to step up.
He certainly does, as Zero Animosity going for the classic bush cheese, hoping that someone from SYN face checks that part of the map. But I mean, look at the amount of vision there is for Eternal Season on that top side. If they don't see them on any of those wards, they have to know the bot side is likely where those members are. They show on mid, they clear out that wave with the empowered, or rather with just the inhibitor minions, super minions. They should be able to gain control of this part, as now they've moved their bush cheese up to the top side, Yanni.
I love it. Maddie gonna walk up here. Here comes the Pantheon ult. It's gonna cut off multiple members here. Captain's not even close. Maddie gets in there, but nobody's there to follow him up. Here comes top lane 101. On the backside is Pantheon ult. Season Leaves. Here's top lane 101 over the wall. They're gonna be able to take out Inferno Dan. Backside,
Aeon is
Pantheon
alone!
in
Aeon is
trouble.
alone!
Knocked up, and he's going to fall in just a moment. Will he? He finally will. Samuel has to flash away. 5v3. Season of Leaves. He wants to end the game right now. Albino Spino's in trouble. He's got to flash away, but the slows, the seismic shove, he's gone gold.
Sonya!
What that glitters is not gold. Albino Spino goes down. There's a TP on the backside from Season of Leaves, because you need to be able to stop this Bard, because he's cut your wave. What are you going to do? Season of Leaves, I don't know if you win this 1v1. Z-Score has a lot of damage. He's going to hit him with a couple of auto attacks. Now he's trying to take the Bard portal away, but it got interrupted. Season of Leaves just trying to do what he can, but this Bard is strong. The problem is you're still not getting a wave in. Z-Score still somehow alive. Gonna go over the wall. Not hit by the seismic shove. He'll finally fall. Baron 2, SYN Eternal Season. Dragon 2, SYN Eternal Season.
And rocking with all 5 members is the purple banner, SYN Eternal Season. The gold is dead even 40 minutes into the game. Are you not entertained, Twitch chat?
What a crazy game here, Quacks. 40 minutes deep right now. The Pantheon has fallen off a damn cliff. Samuel wasn't able to do a thing in that fight, and as it turns out, the best way to beat Zero Animosity is to split them right up.
It is. I mean, Aeon was completely isolated, and tanky as he is, he wasn't able to survive the barrage of damage coming from Syndicate Eternal Season. And now this puts them on Soul Point. They've got all 5 members with the Baron. Like we said, this really is going to be the moment where they can try and put this game in their favor for the first time. After 41 minutes, they can seize this game's gold. They can seize the map for themselves. They just have to be smart about how they rotate, as they're all going toward the bot side. It's looking like a 4-1 split. I like this a lot. Top lane, we saw it earlier on the bot side. This man will not let your turrets survive. He destroys those like the Cookie Monster.
All right, Aeon Crystal showing on vision a little bit here. I think wise move here from SYN Eternal Season to back it up a little bit. Then you're going to wait until somebody gets forced to show top. Now this bottom inhibitor is going to go down. Are they going to go full for top lane one-on-one? It doesn't look like they are. Here we go. They're just waiting for another wave to get in. Remember, Bard is behind right now. If Bard makes a big play on Adaption and Calamity, it could be Calamity. Top lane 101, trying to take that inhibitor. Maddie is going to go gold. Season of Leaves is in a weird spot right now. He's got to flash away. They land the stun onto Aeon Crystal, but don't get anything. That top inhibitor is down as the walls begin to close in on Zero Animosity.
Zero Animosity, they're trying to play defend, but the waves are crashing in unison with one another.
Adaption took so much damage.
A lot of damage from the bouncing blades, and I mean, look at Z-Score. He's not with his team, but he's just holding the waves. He's making sure that the pressure is on two fronts instead of one. With the Sivir, you're able to clear those waves so efficiently. It kind of feels like SYN Eternal Season, the only option they have is to try and look for a pick onto Inferno Den. He doesn't have Flash, but that Sivir being alive is going to keep Zero Animosity alive, Yanni.
They're getting whittled down little by little. Season of Leaves gets flashed on. They're going to try to turn it around as he goes golden. Nami Tidal Wave comes through. Samuel is in trouble on the backside. Top lane 101 with a big haymaker as they're in Zonias and they're in trouble. Big damage coming through. Z-Score in trouble. Daption finishes him off, but they have the healing from the fountain. Samuel and Inferno Dan and Albino Spino are still standing. Top lane 101, you called it out. Has that teleport. Daption's too far forward. He's got to get away and he stays alive. Season of Leaves is in trouble. His teleport took too long. The teleport took too long, and now he's stunned up. Top lane 101 can't do anything more. This last turret is standing. He wants the turret. Albino Spino goes golden. That turret fell. That's another big haymaker, but top lane 101 is getting whittled away. The Nexus is open. Samuel cannot chase down Daption, and SYN Eternal Season cannot finish the game.
SYN Eternal Season, they try their best, but they don't succeed. Top lane 101, like you said, takes a little too long to join the rest of his squad off of that reset. He comes in, he tries to end the game, but he just cannot find the angle. He doesn't have the ultimate. He doesn't have the range. And Zero Animosity, they're spacing like their lives depend on it because Yanni, they literally do.
This game, we thought it was completely in Zero Animosity's hands. They have fumbled the bag.
You said GG. We said GG. We said this game was over 24 minutes ago. But still, they persist. Eternal Season are looking to be Eternal in the playoffs. A Z-Score, they might have found him.
He's going to Bard portal over the wall. They burn a lot. Maddie's going to go with him. So is Daption. This is a weird spot. Teleport's coming in from behind. Here we go. Season of Leaves is showing up. He's going to use the Weaver's Wall to cut him off. Guess what? Albino Spino's all alone. He's got to try to get away. Season of Leaves is stuck in the wall on red. Top lane 101. No, it's a big dodge, but Samuel is going to get away. No, he's gone golden. He's stuck. Can he survive? Health bars are low. Z-Score's trying to block. Top lane 101. The bubble from Calamity. That's the numbers game coming up huge for SYN Eternal Season.
Samuel!
Find Daption. That's going to do it.
They got him.
They're doing Quacks. The push is in. SYN Eternal Season are looking to end the game. Z-Score's got no health. Albino Spino has no chance. He's forced back. He's in the fountain, and the season reigns eternal.
SYN Eternal Season. From game over on their side, they claw back slowly but surely, Yanni, and they find the 2-0. And if this is any implication as to what playoffs hold, you're not going to want to miss the goddamn 3 weeks that we have left in the ACL. This was just an appetizer for what is to come.
That was so fire. That was crazy, Quacks. What a game. SYN Eternal Season now going to secure a 13 through 16 seed, which does mean they're going to have to play against one of the heavy hitters.
It certainly does. And even though they go for a 2-0 today here, Yanni, it certainly wasn't a convincing 2-0. So I do think that a lot of the upper echelon teams should be looking at SYN Eternal Season as an easier opponent than maybe they would like to be considered as. But you still got a week. You can fix up those problems. You can workshop them. You can come back stronger. So I am excited to see.
Munchie should be back too.
Munchie should be back, so the full squad will be available. Good God, Yanni. I am out of breath. I am out of hype. The copium, the hopium, all of the meters are just at 0%, my friend. My battery is out.
Yeah, bro, that was absolutely ridiculous. I just can't believe that game went so long. The late game team was unable to get the job done. It just feels like near the end of the game, their macro just kind of fell apart a little bit. They started, just kind of breaking and being pulled apart at the seams. And it's the one thread that kept getting pulled and they unraveled near the end. They overcooked just a little bit, Quacks. They were not able to get it done.
Those late game team fights were played at the closest of knife's edges. I was thinking of which team would win, but every time I had it in my mind, oh, this team is probably going to be able to come out on top of this team fight, I kept second guessing myself in my mind. I was like, are they though? Are they really? Those fights were down to the wire. They kept going for that last little bit of thread, like you said, Yanni. It's such a crazy, crazy game to end off the regular season. And it makes me so invigorated and excited to see what's in the future because now, Yanni, the real competition starts. The playoffs are next week. The only series that won't be played today is the one on Thursday, which I believe will be covered by Aegis. And then after that, the top 16 are locked. We say goodbye to 8 teams. And boy, oh boy, I just cannot wait. It is so cool. If this was any indication as to what is to come, you better hope you're watching.
Yeah, Quacks, I am so excited. This is going to be a fun playoff run, and I can't wait for more. Quacks, you would know what's going on next more than I would. So lay it down for the people and take us out.
Well, everybody, we are going to be having the last series. I believe it was a reschedule as I'm looking at that. Yeah, it's Calamity versus GCS Challengers. Or no, it's Weber State versus Komodo. Rescheduled on Thursday. That is going to be the last decider / elimination match